potato.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
First at 4, good afternoon. Sydney-siders have been praised for not overwhelming public transport on the first day all students returned to school. But some buses and trains were over capacity, forcing the government to add more services tomorrow. State political reporter Alex Hart is following this story. Alex, the government is pleased with how the day's gone so far.
And the second big test is getting underway now as people head home during the afternoon peak. But the public transport system did pass the first big test this morning, despite 1.2 million students heading back to school full time today. Most avoided catching a bus or train, many parents deciding to drop their kids off instead. That did cause some congestion around some schools, but the Roads and Transport Minister, Andrew Constance, was pleased overall.
This is a plan that the community is responding to. You can see that with the bus patronage over a week. You can see how the school kids this morning have behaved.
Across Sydney, there was a slight increase in the number of people using public transport compared to last week. A number of services in Western Sydney, buses in particular, were at or above the recommended capacity with social distancing in place, according to real-time government data. As a result, additional services will be put on in some of those hotspots from tomorrow, something the opposition demanded earlier today.
And if you were on one of those crowded buses in Western Sydney this morning, you would be urging the government to come up with an increased capacity.
There were more cars on the road too, but still well down on pre-coronavirus numbers. Just a handful using the new temporary car park at Moore Park. That car park will remain open though, with many people returning to their offices for work in the coming days and weeks. And
thanks, Alex. It was back to full-time school this morning for hundreds of thousands of New South Wales students after 2 months of isolating at home. Peter Fegan is at Annandale. Peter, it was a smooth return to the classroom.
Well, and the government predicts close to 700,000 students return to the classrooms today in Sydney alone. Now, the school drop-off was certainly different to what people are used to. Parents at most schools across the city were told that they weren't, in fact, allowed inside school grounds, so the goodbyes were all done at the school gate. And here at Annandale Public School, that whole process this morning was pretty much flawless. And despite the weather, many parents decided that walking their kids to school was the best bet.
It's exciting to have them back in the classroom, and we're looking forward to being back into some kind of normal when it comes to education.
We've been able to do that by ensuring every measure of safety in and around our school communities.
It has been now 9 long weeks since parents were asked to keep their kids at home. So in some instances, it was very familiar to a first day at school for a few of these kids. But after that 9 o'clock bell rang, Anne, that was all forgotten and the lessons began.
It was great. We miss our friends, the teachers.
I'm feeling good. It's a good day.
And we're back. And we're off and we're racing. We'll catch them up. We'll take it from here.
Now, Anne, interesting to note, the government says that the absenteeism rate today was only slightly higher than pre-corona times. And the government is reminding parents that if your children are sick, to keep them at home. Anne?
Thanks very much, Pete. The federal government has confirmed it'll look at further measures to help businesses struggling with COVID-19. They'll review the JobKeeper scheme next month and look to prioritise the worst-hit industries. Political reporter Jennifer Beshwari has more from Canberra. Jen, this follows the announcement the JobKeeper figures were botched.
Yeah, that's right. It's been dubbed the biggest budget blunder in history, overcalculating the need for the JobKeeper program by 3 million workers and the cost by $60 billion. But according to Treasurer Josh Frydenberg today, who's flooded the airwaves and breakfast television, this mistake is a blessing.
The good news is that what it means is that the country will be borrowing $60 billion less than otherwise would have occurred.
He likened the error to purchasing thousands of ventilators in March because the health modelling predicted a need for them.
But today, only 5 Australians are on those ventilators.
But Labor says this miscalculation has serious economic consequences.
Their bungling incompetence has meant that more Australians have headed off to Centrelink.
Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers is calling for the money saved to be extended to workers who currently miss out, like short-term casuals or migrant workers.
Heaps of people who've been excluded from JobKeeper payments have been raiding their superannuation.
The government has today ruled that out, but indicated that industries worst hit, like tourism, that's been decimated by a lack of travel, will get additional support.
If there are sensible adjustments
that can be made at the edges, then that is the whole purpose of that review.
One adjustment being considered is scaling back the wage subsidy for some businesses that no longer need it and reallocating it to businesses that do. Now, Prime Minister Scott Morrison will deliver a major speech here in Canberra tomorrow detailing his economic roadmap out of the COVID crisis. There'll be a big focus on jobs and growth and long-term reform to help Australia bounce back from this crippling downturn.
Rugby League kicks off again this week, and while the players will be on the field, there will be no fans in the stands because of COVID fears. But that could change if officials have their way. Tom Saker is at Bankwest Stadium, and Tom, there's another reason to celebrate there.
Good afternoon. It's official. Bankwest Stadium is one of the most innovative and sustainable arenas in the world after it was awarded a prestigious design award, and now the push is on to refill its seats. 7 News can reveal Bankwest Stadium builders and designers have taken out the LEED V4 Gold Design Award, an accolade bestowed by the US Green Building Council, which is usually given to green office buildings.
Just goes to prove that this is a world-class stadium right here in Western Sydney.
But while its material selection, water saving and energy efficiency has been recognised as world-leading, NRL players and administrators are growing anxious that it is all a bit of a waste when there are empty seats.
That's up to organisations to consider their options, but certainly we're not in that space yet.
ARL Commissioner Peter V'landys, who defied expectations in getting the NRL season back up and running so soon, has moved on to his next mission to get crowds back by July 1 in some capacity. And that might begin with refilling corporate boxes to maintain the game's sponsorship interests. The stadium will host the Roosters and the Rabbitohs this Friday night.
Thanks, Tom. The first hearing of the Royal Commission into the summer bushfire crisis is underway, with climate change on the agenda. Australia's top scientists have been the first to deliver evidence at the inquiry. An expert from the Bureau of Meteorology warned that the horror fire season isn't a one-off event. In addition to climate change, the Royal Commission will examine the responsibility of the Commonwealth when it comes to natural disasters. The final report will be delivered in August. Another bushfire battle was playing out in court today. Victims of the summer bushfire crisis have just learned they won't be getting any of the $51 million raised by comedian Celeste Barber. Serena Andaloro has more. Serena, who gets the money?
Well, and the money will stay in the New South Wales RFS Brigades and Donation Fund, the trust Celeste Barber nominated as part of her bushfire crowdfunding appeal. This despite thousands across the globe who donated, thinking it would be assisting bushfire victims who lost homes and livelihoods. The trust is governed by a deed, which means the money can only be spent on buying and maintaining equipment, training and operational costs. But the Supreme Court has slightly broadened this today. Justice Slattery in his judgment today saying it can be used to support rural firefighters injured by firefighting or families of those killed, and to provide physical, mental and trauma services for firefighters. It can also be used to fund courses to upskill firefighters and brigades.
Despite the trustees' wish to honour those intentions or hopes, the law provides principles that ensure a degree of certainty in the application of trust funds.
And Anne, when the money was raised, Celeste Barber told her followers she would be dividing the money between other charities and states. No doubt a very disappointing outcome for her too.
Thanks, Serena. Meteorologist Eva Brown joins us to explain this wild weather day. Hello, Brownie.
Yeah, good afternoon, and showers continue to stream across the Sydney Basin as big waves pound the coast. Look, right now, temperature-wise, 15 degrees, but look at that. It feels like 7 if you happen to be caught out in the wind. We have a low that's parked right here over the Tasman Sea that's been driving big waves onto the coast. In fact, the Wave Rider buoy, which sits just a few k's off Sydney Heads, reported a maximum wave height of something like 12 metres. Now, that's the size of a 4-storey building. The big seas are expected to abate tonight and tomorrow as the winds continue to moderate right across the Tasman Sea. As we go to the radar, the thing that stands out, the bulk of the shower activity today has been confined to the eastern half of Sydney. 5 millimetres in Little Bay. That's the biggest fall so far, less than 1 millimetre in the city since 9 o'clock this morning. More showers, though, are in the wind tonight and again tomorrow. Again, our model painting the bulk of that activity confined to coastal areas. Up to 2 millimetres is possible in the city, so not a lot less in our west. And, of course, detailed local forecast, top of the hour, Anne.
See you then, Brownie. Still to come in Sydney's afternoon news on 7, incredible pictures, wild winds tear roofs from homes. A teenager murdered, allegedly forced over the edge of a balcony. Now there's been a disturbing twist as his accused killers face court. And the alarming link between diabetes and dementia. Everything you need to know is coming up.
This is what the world has been waiting for. Got bigger and crazier. That is a wow moment.
We're celebrating the extraordinary. Oh my God! Brand new Britain's Got Talent, Wednesday 7:30.
Oh. Hi.
Hi, Mum, it's me. I'm just checking in.
Oh, hi, darling. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's a video call, so move the phone away from your ear.
No, wait on. Can't see you. Oh, yeah. There you are. Hi.
So good to see your face, Mum.
You too, dear.
You don't need Australia's best network until you do.
Good, I missed it.
We remain dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. Call us to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm getting you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it, clap, clap. Alright, so clap it back. Hey,
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Earth, the funnest planet in the universe. Suzuki's the funnest cars on Earth. Therefore, Suzuki's are the best cars in the universe.
Don't miss a moment. New by Solven Duo Syrup is a 2-in-1 formula traditionally used to soothe an irritated throat and relieve an associated dry cough. By Solven Duo. Moments uninterrupted. Available at selected retailers.
Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer. Receive a $700 Harvey Norman gift card when you sign up to a new service on the Optus $65 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months with 80 gigabytes of data for use in Oz. That's right. Sign up to a new service on the $65 per month 24-month Optus SIM-only plan and you'll receive a $700 Harvey Norman gift card. Offer ends June 30. New services only, not available with other offers. Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer.
Big day soon, and that dress is the one. You know, it's little sacrifices that will help make it yours. So you could live without that smashed avocado for a while and put your savings into an IMB Bank Reward Saver. Wedding dress sorted. Now just hope for sunshine. Whatever your goal, we'll help you get there.
You're watching 7's 4 p.m. Sydney News. This is the view from a very stormy Cronulla, where right now it's 15 degrees. A savage storm has hit Perth. The wild weather, described as a once-in-a-decade event, battered homes overnight. Ferocious winds ripped down power lines and trees and blew roofs off homes. Thousands of households were left without electricity, while the SES received hundreds of calls for help. Country areas copped a drenching too, with widespread damage along the west coast. This pizza delivery driver escaped with only minor injuries after a tree impaled his car. 3 men charged with robbing a teenage boy at knife point before he fell to his death on the Gold Coast have faced court. Kian English fell from the 4th story of a unit complex while trying to escape. He was only 19 years old. Isabel Marlin reports.
The three men charged with the murder of 19-year-old Keen English will remain behind bars after facing court in Brisbane and Beenleigh. Mr English fell to his death from the View Pacific holiday accommodation in Surfers Paradise on Friday night.
Very concerning, and there's a family that's grieving. It's awful, absolutely awful. And, I just urge everyone, especially young people, please be safe.
20-year-old Hayden Kratzman, 22-year-old Jason Knowles and 18-year-old Lachlan Largus didn't appear in the dock as their matters were mentioned briefly. Charged with murder, armed robbery and deprivation of liberty, it's alleged they robbed Mr English at knife point and he was trying to escape when he fell to his death. Their matters will next be heard on the Gold Coast. All three men have been remanded in custody and will next face court on August 4.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has professed his innocence at the start of his corruption trial. Outside the courtroom, he said the investigations against him were tainted and stitched up from the first moment. Among the charges, the 70-year-old is accused of receiving expensive gifts from billionaires that include James Packer in exchange for favours. The casino tycoon has previously been named as a prosecution witness. Netanyahu is the country's first sitting Prime Minister to go on trial. Worshippers in masks have followed strict social distancing guidelines to be blessed by Pope Francis. They gathered in St Peter's Square for the first time since the end of the coronavirus lockdown there. The pontiff, who waved at them from his window, delivered his message via the internet as those in the square watched on large screens. And large crowds have soaked up the sun at Italian beaches over the weekend, taking advantage of the warmer spring weather and their newfound freedom. However, authorities in the southern regions are concerned, worried about a potential second wave of coronavirus infections if people don't follow social distancing guidelines. Next in 7's afternoon news, a woman caught in a train door and dragged along a Sydney platform, the entire thing caught on camera. Plus, why your boss could be told to make you stay at home. And in sport, one of the NRL's biggest names gives the new rule changes a big thumbs up.
Tonight on 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
How Sydney Transport handled the peak hour squeeze, where Celeste Barber's bushfire funds will go, and the NRL's plan to allow fans at games.
Tonight on 7 News at 6.
Castle Stana Katic in the riveting new thriller.
She's dangerous.
Absentia, Tuesday on 7.
Make sure you're totally ready when it's time to present to your most important audience ever. Unlike ordinary toothpaste, Colgate Total's breakthrough formula actively fights bacteria on your teeth, tongue, cheeks and gums for 12 hours, keeping your whole mouth healthy. Colgate Total. Be totally ready for life.
You've got to have it. Even if it does mean a little restraint for a while. And putting your savings into an IMB Bank Reward Saver. Whatever your goal, we'll help you get there.
Hyundai's end of financial year sale is on. Get great value across our eye-catching range. Like the Hyundai i30 Hatch with the confidence of a 7-year warranty. And end of financial year bonuses on selected SUVs, including the Hyundai Tucson. And 7-seat petrol V6 Hyundai Santa Fe. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
Guys, we've got another jackpot winner.
Ozphoto, will your numbers bring you a truckload of cash this Tuesday?
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
When your functional digestive symptoms bring you down, choose Iberogast. Its combination of 9 medicinal herbs is clinically proven to relieve multiple digestive symptoms. Iberogast, herbal power that works.
How's that for serenity?
Can care be better at home?
Oh, it's sanctuary. Your home's a bit of a sanctuary. Yeah, for me, rehab at home, it gave me a huge amount of flexibility to be able to do the things I wanted to do. It allowed me to unstress and be in the moment in your house in your own comfort zone, which was really good for me and my state of mind.
Search Medibank at home to see how we're creating better choices for our members.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
Hi, Chris. As one of our Care Super members, let's go see your super at work. Hold on. I'll show you some of the opportunities and possibilities that are being explored for you. Your super should work as hard as you do, so we're making sure it does.
Rugby league hardman Corey Parker has won it all. He doesn't do gags, he doesn't do pranks, but he does play KFC Supercoach. Register today at supercoach.com.au.
We have some terrifying pictures to show you now. As we return to work, transport officials are urging the public to take extra care on train platforms. 7 News has obtained confronting pictures of an incident at a station in Sydney. Watch closely as a woman sticks her arm inside a closing door as the train begins to leave. It then pulls away with her arm still stuck inside. In 7 News at 6, see what happened next. Time for sport now with Mel McLaughlin. Hello, Mel. One of the game's biggest names has backed the new rule changes.
Hi, Anne. Yes, he has. West Tigers champion Benji Marshall says the new 6-again rule for ruck infringements will make the game an even better spectacle. With the season just days away from emerging from their COVID-19 shutdown, Marshall has reminded his teammates of just how lucky they are.
We get to play rugby league for a living, so I think that's an important message for our players, is just to be grateful that we're back and playing.
The Tigers take on the Sharks at Bankwest Stadium on Saturday, and Cronulla flyer Bronson Xerri has put them on notice.
I think I'm a lot faster than what I was last year, so I'm keen to show that this Saturday coming.
The season restarts on Thursday night with the Eels up against the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium. Well, both the Swans and Giants will play 3 of their first 4 matches at home when the AFL season restarts next month. The revised fixtures for rounds 2 to 5 were released this afternoon. GWS resumes against North Melbourne at Giant Stadium, while the Swans host Essendon at the SCG. Both games are on Sunday, June 14.
As we navigate through the remainder of the season, plus finals, we'll continue to be adaptable with our scheduling, ensuring our fixtures align with the relevant state government restrictions.
Reigning premiers Richmond clash with Collingwood to restart the season on Thursday, June 11. Germany's Bundesliga is the centre of the footballing universe at the moment, and the highlights are coming thick and fast.
Oh, what a free kick! Philip Max stepped to one side. Edouard Leuven wanted that one, and he found the top corner with it too.
Yeah, that brilliant free kick powered Augsburg to a comfortable 3-0 victory over Schalke. German international Timo Werner scored a hat-trick in RB Leipzig's 5-0 thrashing of Mainz. Well, the uncertainty caused by the health crisis has prompted Andrew Bogut to delay a call on his playing future. The former NBA star has decided to not re-sign with the Sydney Kings or consider other options until some normality returns to the sporting landscape. Bogut says he's not considering retirement and hopes to be back out on the basketball court in the near future. Well, 4 American sporting megastars have raised $30 million for COVID-19 relief. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson joined NFL greats Peyton Manning and Tom Brady for a special golf event in Florida. After a nightmare start, Brady turned it around in style at the 7th.
Oh, go in! Yeah! Goodness! You made it! Wow!
Ridiculous. Brady remained the butt of jokes, though, after splitting his pants. There was a host of challenges mixed into the team's match play format. Woods and Manning defeated Mickelson and Brady 1-up. And after a wonderful response to last night's story on BMX racer Kai Sakakibara, we want to share an update on his recovery. Kai had a near-fatal crash in February. He arrived in Liverpool Hospital's brain injury unit on April 1, and he has thrilled doctors with his progress and determination.
That's a component that we can see in Kai, that the athlete is there. Every week there's been significant improvements.
Yeah, one of his next challenges will be walking with his physios, and Kai is aware of the enormous support behind him. It is wonderful to see, and It's a beautiful, very brave young man and beautiful family and that big smile on his face.
We certainly wish him well.
We do.
Thank you, Mel.
Thanks.
To some breaking news now, and a date has been set for a by-election in the seat of Eden Monaro. Voters in that electorate will head to the polls on the 4th of July. The vacancy was triggered by the resignation of Dr Mike Kelly, who quit because of health reasons. Fiona Cotvoys is the Liberal pick for the seat. Labor's is former Bega Mayor Christy McBain. Don't go anywhere, our top stories are just ahead. Exciting news on the development of a coronavirus vaccine. Australia's first human trials about to begin. We speak to the professor behind the research. Why your boss could be told to keep you at home despite restrictions easing. A startling new link discovered between one of our most widespread diseases and dementia. And see the moment a massive power plant came crashing down, all caught on camera. That's next.
Going into battle against a tough and determined enemy.
I'm going, with you or without you.
Every Monday, mates bringing in the big guns.
I ain't never run before, I ain't running now.
The most epic adventures.
None of you have to go, but we are the only help they have.
Extraordinary heroes. And incredible battles.
You guys are crazy!
Mate's Military Mondays continues tonight on Mate.
No matter how you care for them, take comfort that Huggies Ultra Dry Nappy Pants stretchy fit and instant absorption keeps your baby's skin dry and comfortable. Huggies. Be comfortable in your skin.
Is your home bursting at the seams? Time to call Storage King. With stalls everywhere, there's a location just around the corner. Temporary or permanent solutions with no lock-in contracts and contactless move-ins. Call now and let Storage King give you back some space.
It's a difficult time for Aussie families. We can't change what's happening, but we can bring you something fresh and tasty. And when we do, you'll know that your family is helping ours. So thank you, from our family to yours.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Save on the Samsung Galaxy S20 5G on Australia's best 5G. Find out more in-store or online by June 30.
Your Ford dealer is still open and ready to help your business get back to business with high-vis value. So you can get a hard-working Ranger XLT for only $54,990 drive away, or the great value Ranger XLS for just $46,490 drive away. And don't forget to check if your business is eligible for the government's instant asset write-off this financial year. So hurry into your Ford dealer now for high-vis value.
Kill bacteria that can cause sore throats fast with Betadine Sore Throat Gargle. Or treat and relieve with new Betadine Gargle and Lozenges Kit.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Welcome back to our Martin Place headquarters. These are our top stories on 7. City-siders have been praised for not overwhelming public transport as many head back to work. It was also back to full-time school this morning for hundreds of thousands of New South Wales students after 2 months of isolating at home. Victims of the summer bushfire crisis have just learned they won't be getting any of the $51 million raised by comedian Celeste Barber. And still to come, we were filming as a power plant came crashing down. See the incredible pictures captured from our news helicopter. Australian researchers are on the brink of conducting human trials of a potential homegrown coronavirus vaccine. Chris Maher is covering the story, and Chris, they say animal tests so far have been extremely promising.
Well, with the international race, of course, well underway to find a vaccine for COVID-19, big advances are being made in Australia. Researchers connected to the Flinders University in Adelaide say they are very close to beginning human trials on a potential vaccine dubbed COVAX-19. It's designed around a vaccine the same team put together for the SARS virus, which got as far as animal trials. The researchers say they are preparing to test the vaccine on 75 volunteers once approval is received. They join other Australian research said to be making significant ground in Melbourne and Brisbane. The Adelaide work is headed up by a researcher who says it's possible the coronavirus was grown in a lab.
It may have come from an accidental release from a laboratory that was studying this or a related virus.
The researchers are hoping to begin clinical trials on the COVID vaccine as soon as 4 weeks from now.
It's based on the same platform that we've used in human trials previously for influenza vaccines.
Researchers say so far they've received very promising results. They hope trials can be completed by the end of the year, after that making the vaccine widely available.
Thanks, Chris. As millions of Australians start returning to work, health officials fear that many will feel pressured to turn up, even if they're unwell. Experts have fired a warning shot at bosses, telling them to make sure sick staff stay at home to avoid a potential second wave of infection.
Cold. Ooh, and there's people depending on you.
Every viewer of a certain age will remember this classic jingle.
Soldier on with Codral, soldier on, soldier on.
And that attitude remains deeply ingrained in our psyche.
The Aussie way is we battle on, I think.
A recent study from the Australian National University supports that theory, finding 2/3 of us front up when unwell. Do you reckon Aussie workers feel the pressure to turn up even if they are sick?
100%, definitely.
And shockingly, those who should be setting the example aren't. A survey from YouGov showed well over half of healthcare professionals have worked with flu-like illnesses. Like the nurse at a Rockhampton aged care facility who ignored coronavirus symptoms and later tested positive.
Honestly, a nurse should know better.
I think there's always been a thought that if you called in sick, you were somehow weak, and I think that's something we really need to challenge. The concept of soldiering on really has to become a relic of the past.
CEO of Vic Health, Dr Sandro De Mayo, says the onus is now on employers to change.
We need to be making sure that staff feel confident to take a day off if they need to, that they're in fact encouraged, and that it's something that we celebrate. If staff do feel unwell, they do the right thing, they stay home and they protect their colleagues.
Another factor that drives us to clock on while crook is money. 3.3 million Aussies don't have paid sick leave. Union boss Sally McManus says the federal government needs to introduce paid pandemic leave so casual workers aren't tempted to take risks.
Those workers will be making decisions based on, can I survive, can I pay the bills, maybe I've got a scratchy throat, should I stay at home? And we don't want people to be weighing up those choices.
And if you do call in sick from work, remember it is not an opportunity to then head out and catch up on other errands. So far, the signs are promising that we have learned some valuable lessons from the COVID crisis, and our new healthy habits are having happy side effects. Nathan Templeton, 7 News.
New research has found people with type 2 diabetes are at a much greater risk of developing dementia, as well as some of the most deadly types of cancer. Amber Laidler is on this story. Amber, this Australian research is comprehensive and alarming.
Researchers from the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute have analysed data from more than 2 million people. They found that compared to the general population, Australians living with type 2 diabetes are twice as likely to develop pancreatic and liver cancer, 50% more likely to get bowel cancer, and have a 20% greater risk of breast cancer. They are also 8 times more likely to suffer from heart failure, 10 times more likely to suffer from end-stage kidney disease, and have a 60% greater chance of developing dementia.
In people with diabetes, the sugar levels are high, and so there's lots of fuel around for those cancer cells to grow more rapidly.
This news is particularly concerning for diabetes support groups. They say they've seen a drop in patients visiting their doctors for checkups and testing since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's estimated 60,000 Australians have missed out on routine pathology tests in recent weeks, with cancer referrals at some of the country's Australia's top oncology centres also reportedly dropping around 30%.
It's an overused term, but you've got to be proactive about looking after yourself.
More than 1 million Australians are currently living with type 2 diabetes. The report claims it is essential they continue to be supported by their GPs to maintain healthy blood pressure and cholesterol.
Thank you, Amber. The unflappable New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern kept her cool when an earthquake struck while she was being interviewed on live TV.
We're just having a bit of an earthquake here, Ryan. Quite a decent shake here, but if you see things moving behind me, the beehive moves a little more than most. Yep, no, it's just stopped.
The PM was speaking from the country's Parliament complex in Wellington when the 5.8 magnitude quake hit. A manhunt is underway across the city for a young trio of killers wanted over the stabbing death of a Sydney tradesman. Natasha Squarey has more. Tash, police say two of their friends know where they are but aren't talking.
Good afternoon, and well, the two accused teenage killers refused to appear on video link during their first court appearance today, and neither had any friends or family here to support them. The pair, aged 16 and 17, are accused of stabbing Kevin Cordis to death during a home invasion late Saturday night at Riverstone. The 39-year-old tradesman died in his home. His roommate and girlfriend witnessed it all. His alleged killers were arrested when they allegedly tried to steal a car nearby, but three other suspects got away. Today, Mr. Cordis's family said he had a kind heart and never deserved such a tragic ending to his life, and his murder will haunt them for the rest of their lives. But police are still working hard to find a motive and give his family some answers, spending a second day going over the crime scene, speaking to neighbours and gathering evidence, including this locked safe.
Really, really scary. And then we heard Polaire and everything. You don't expect anything like this in a nice, quiet street.
The two accused killers didn't apply for bail and will return to court in July. Their three mates are still on the run.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has spoken up in defence of his top aide, who's accused of breaking the coronavirus lockdown. Dominic Cummings travelled to England's north to stay with his parents, while telling the rest of the country to stay at home. Hugh Whitfield has more.
It's 2 weeks since Boris Johnson last attended a press conference during this national emergency, but a sign of just how damaging this political furor has become. He was forced back out today in front of the cameras to answer questions about Dominic Cummings, his most senior political advisor. It's claimed that Dominic Cummings, along with his sick wife who had coronavirus symptoms and their 4-year-old son, travelled hundreds of kilometres north, flouting the lockdown rules to his parents' hometown. He claims he was doing that so that if both he and his wife fell sick, that there would be someone to care for his child. But a lot of people are not buying that excuse. Who is Dominic Cummings? He is considered the second most powerful person in Britain after Boris Johnson. A man who some believe essentially pulls the strings within Downing Street, the mastermind of the Brexit campaign, the mastermind of Boris Johnson's election campaign last year, but also a hugely divisive figure. Now, some Tory MPs are lining up calling for Dominic Cummings to either be sacked or to resign. Boris Johnson, though, is sticking by his man.
I think he followed the instincts of every father and every parent, and I do not mark him down for that. I believe that in every respect he has acted responsibly and legally and with integrity.
The Johnson government has been relying on the goodwill of Britons to keep the lockdown in place, but that goodwill does appear to be quickly evaporating. Boris Johnson burning now through political capital to protect his senior advisor. Dominic Cummings is now facing a police investigation after complaints made by people in the town that he visited during lockdown.
China's handling of the coronavirus crisis has been compared to Soviet Russia's cover-up of the Chernobyl disaster. The comparison was made by one of President Trump's top aides and has further inflamed tensions between the two countries. All this as the death toll in the US nears 100,000 people. Amelia Brace reports.
Well, this gives you an idea of the magnitude of the lives lost. Today's New York Times listing the names of 1,000 people who've lost their lives to COVID-19, but this is just 1% of the near 100,000 Americans who've died. But despite that death toll continuing to rise, the country is slowly reopening. People flocking to beaches and churches today, with the president saying it's right for life to start to go back to normal.
We did the right thing, and now we're doing the right thing by getting it going, getting it open. We have to open.
But while Donald Trump is focusing on recovering from the pandemic, he's continuing to make allegations about where it started and who's at fault. Once again, taking aim at China.
It's a very terrible thing, and they could have stopped it. If they wanted to, they could have stopped it. Either it was incompetent or they didn't want to. Both are not very acceptable, by the way.
China's top diplomat hit back, warning of another Cold War if tensions between the two countries don't ease.
中国无意改变美国，更不想取代美国。
Now we must be vigilant that some American political forces are putting Sino-US relations at stake, pushing Sino-US relations to a so-called new Cold War.
Relations between Beijing and Washington have deteriorated since the outbreak of the coronavirus, amplifying trade tensions, with Donald Trump threatening to cut off China entirely.
Thanks, Amelia. We're live to ComSec for the latest on your money next. Then, look out below. See the moment 8 chimney stacks at a power plant come crashing down, with the entire thing caught on camera. Plus, how scientists are trying to treat coronavirus using blood from a baby's umbilical cord. It's 8 degrees in Katoomba. Brownie will have our forecast soon.
Just 1 point separates them all.
This is a week that counts.
But what happens when the judges don't agree?
Really clever space.
The bathroom.
It's dividing this whole room up. You have to move in and out.
The bedroom.
This is the sort of detail that you'd see in a Grand Hamptons home. You're wrong.
You be the judge.
I literally stopped breathing.
Who could get eliminated on New House Rules? Tonight, 7:30.
An order for Lego. Someone's in for some fun. Bet you love toys. You're childish.
No, I'm not.
Hi.
Look at how great you look.
Thank you. I feel like I've been on a diet my entire life. I even cut out bread and pasta for a day. And then I tried Noom.
I feel like anyone could use Noom.
It's an easy to stick to program that actually changed my habits. It changed the way I look at food.
They say it's based on a cognitive behavioral approach. I just say it works.
It just clicked. It worked. It worked with Noom. Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
iSelect can't help with your naked partner walking past your big presentation, but we could help shrink your electricity and internet bills while you're stuck at home. Compare, select and save with iSelect.
Introducing BP Rewards. Earn BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards.
Or choose to earn Qantas points.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. Your rewards, your way.
At St George, managing your money from home is simple and secure. Using internet banking or our mobile app, you can change your PIN, check your balance, increase your daily limit and pay your bills, all without needing to leave your den.
The stylish Haval H2, a globally engineered, European-designed and feature-packed SUV. From just $22,990 drive away, Haval H2 Auto. New car thinking.
Oh, baby, baby, feed me. Baby, feed me. Oh, feed me.
Dine, powerless to resist.
Make sure you're totally ready when it's time to present to your most important audience ever. Unlike ordinary toothpaste, Colgate Total's breakthrough formula actively fights bacteria on your teeth, tongue, cheeks and gums for 12 hours, keeping your whole mouth healthy. Colgate Total. Be totally ready for life.
Home Life has created a back pain boom.
How to End It. Simple, lasting ways to stop the pain on Sunrise tomorrow.
Sydney beaches have been hammered by monster waves. This video from Cronulla last night shows the intensity of the wild surf. The huge swell battering not only the coastline, but also ships at sea. Have a look at this. Rogue waves towered above this ramp on the HMAS Canberra, which is normally 25 metres above the waterline. The largest waves recorded offshore were 12 metres. That's the same height as a 4-storey building. Meanwhile, a large cargo ship spilled its load, losing dozens of containers. The APL England ran into trouble about 70 kilometres southeast of Sydney yesterday morning. Checking finance now with James Tower at CommSec. Hello, James. How did our market perform today?
Yeah, very good afternoon to you. And it was a solid start to the week. We saw the ASX 200 bouncing back from some consecutive losses at the back end of last week. Today, the ASX 200 up 118 points, or about 2.1%. It's the best daily improvement that we've seen all of May so far. Basically, every single sector improving. One of the real standouts was the performance of Afterpay. The buy now, pay later provider hit a new record high today of $49 a share. It did end slightly off those particular levels, but still up around 9% for the day. We had some pretty big gains as well for tourism stocks and travel stocks, the likes of Webjet and Flight Centre up around 15% each. The Aussie dollar, though, not moving so much at 65.3 US cents.
James Tower from CommSec. Thank you, James. You're watching Seven's Afternoon News live across Sydney. Still to come, treating coronavirus using blood from a baby's umbilical cord. Sounds unusual, but there's strong scientific evidence it could work. See how scientists plan to do it in just a few minutes. Part of a defunct power station in Victoria has been blown up in spectacular fashion. The plant's 8 chimneys collapsed one by one, just seconds apart, as our news helicopter filmed overhead. Paul Dowsley was there too.
The horizon at the Hazelwood power plant hasn't looked like this for 55 years. 8 chimney stacks are now gone. This morning, it looked like this, the same way it has since the 1960s. Then, around 12:30 this afternoon, they were all demolished. 8 concrete towers, each standing 137 metres high. They were blasted 4 seconds apart. This had been key infrastructure for Victoria for decades. It used to generate about 25% of the state's electricity and about 5% to all of Australia. But it closed in 2017. It was no longer financially viable. And the chimneys are deteriorating because they've been standing for twice as long as they were designed to last.
For some people, this event represents change and renewal. For others, it's the end of an era. For the project team, it's the culmination of an enormous amount of pre-work and preparation.
Once the dust settles, the plan is to recycle all that rubble. Then they'll demolish some other buildings, and as part of this redevelopment, the plan is to have this area as a lake. But it will be so big, it's probably going to take about 11 years to fill up.
Thank you, Paul. Sydney's 6 p.m. news is coming up with Mark Ferguson. Hello, Fergo. What are you working on in the newsroom?
Yeah, good afternoon. And tonight we'll have the very latest from Sydney's evening peak hour rush. Most parts of the city did well this morning, but some areas still faced overcrowding on public transport as students returned to school in almost pre-COVID numbers. Also, the fight for funds raised by Celeste Barber has been decided in the Supreme Court. There's help for families of fallen firefighters, but plenty of others in need won't see any money. We'll take you through it all at 6. A female corrective officer accused of an inappropriate relationship with an inmate, where there she's released on bail. Shocking vision, the pool party that sparked fears of a new virus outbreak in the making. Wild scenes as Benjamin Netanyahu goes on trial. We'll tell you why James Packer is linked to corruption charges against the Israeli Prime Minister. And a near-death experience at a Sydney train station, how quick-thinking witnesses saved this young woman's life. And that rescue and plenty more, 7 News tonight at 6 o'clock.
We'll see you at 6. Thank you. 4:48, so let's get a check on Sydney's traffic.
Good afternoon. Marina Ivanovic here in the Sydney Blinds and Screens traffic chopper. If you're heading through Canley Heights, Cumberland Highway, a 3-vehicle accident affecting a run in both directions. And we're just hovering above Lanier at the moment. We've got a car and motorcycle accident affecting a run on Hoxton Park Road in both directions, one lane only getting through. Change your blinds with Sydney Blinds and Screens this change of season with massive savings across a huge range. Visit sydneyblinds.com.au for more today. And a friendly reminder to wear gloves when filling up at the petrol station.
In a world first, Australian doctors are looking to treat coronavirus using blood taken from a baby's umbilical cord. It's a radical procedure, but experts are hoping for a breakthrough. Georgia Comensoli has this exclusive report.
Good afternoon. This trial is a world first and it's using blood cell therapy as a treatment for the virus. Phase 1 of the trial is about to begin and will use COVID patients from Victoria. If there aren't enough here, they could use patients in other states.
Our cells address both the inflammatory response as well as the overreactive immune response.
If a patient was on, let's say, oxygen in the hospital, we would hope that the need for oxygen or the amount of oxygen they are on would start decreasing.
Umbilical cord blood is a vital stem cell source and is already used to treat blood, immune and genetic diseases. Participants for the trial will be recruited over the next month. The trial is expected to take a year to complete. And I'll have more details on exactly how the treatment will work at 6.
Next in 7's afternoon news, David Brown will be here with your latest forecast.
I'm your dad.
Is the bloke legit?
He says he is.
And you're sure you don't want to borrow me?
Why'd you choose now to come and find me?
What happened?
You're just taking me for a ride.
When he finds out the true reason his dad's here, it could break his heart.
You're holding something back. You need to tell him what's going on.
All I can do is protect him from me hurting him.
But that's exactly what you're doing. You know, if you don't tell him, I will.
Home and Away, tonight at 7 on 7.
Are you ready to quit smoking? Ready to start tasting again? Ready to stop coughing? Are you ready to get your breath back? And start saving money? When you quit smoking, things improve quickly. When you quit, you win. Get the top 10 tips to quit successfully at icanquit.com.au or to talk to a qualified counsellor. Call Quitline on 13 78 48.
With 100% of your daily vitamin C, go for gold with a Zespri Sun Gold Kiwi Fruit. Make your healthy irresistible. Zespri.
Dad!
Oh, sorry.
Just wait.
It's funny.
Dad!
Party pooper. Shh.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
Rugby league hard man Corey Parker has won it all. He doesn't do gags, he doesn't do pranks, but he does play KFC Supercoach. Register today at supercoach.com.au.
Great Wall end of financial year value is now on. Get a brand new petrol dual cab or diesel single cab with a free trade and a 5-year warranty from only $19,990. That's right, from just $19,990 drive away. Great Wall, it's built to work.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
What are you here for? Win a lot of cash. Hold hard.
It's go big or go home.
Forget it.
The insult. But big money.
Oh, boy.
Means big risks.
It's a challenge, and I'm up for the challenges.
Belting him out. New The Chase, coming up next on 7.
This weather report brought to you by Bridgestone Select for tyres and car servicing.
Trapped in the doors. See how quick thinking saved her life. The Extraordinary Pictures, 7 News at 6.
Now to pictures of a delicate underwater operation to rehome rare and endangered seahorses. The move happened after 2 large colonies were discovered at foreshore construction sites in Sydney Harbour. Divers spent hours in the water carefully collecting the animals and bringing them up to a research boat. 53 seahorses were then taken to a new, top-secret location. Great pictures. Meteorologist David Brown is back with the latest forecast. Afternoon, Brownie, what have you got for us?
Yes, good afternoon, Anne. Well, it's a cold and damp afternoon. It's rather windy on the coast. In fact, high wind chill at the moment. High wind chill again tomorrow. But look, at the moment, our temperature, in fact, the top temperature, push the button again, a little bit cold, I think, for the remote today. That's why, 15.6 degrees. Can you believe it? That's about 3 degrees on the cold side of normal. Statewide at current conditions, it's only 10 degrees in Orange. Up the coast at Newcastle, it's wet and it's 14 degrees. Mild as you head towards the Queensland border. In fact, in Lismore, sunny and 23 degrees. As we go to the satellite, we have a warning for damaging surf that covers a large part of our coast for the remainder of today and again tomorrow. We'll see more showers too in the forecast east of the Great Dividing Range, the bulk of it affecting the southern central coast, gradually pushing north as the day wears on. Dry and clear west of the Great Dividing Range. More sunshine in Brisbane tomorrow. Forecast up around 24 degrees. Clear skies for Melbourne. A cold day though, a top of 18 degrees at best. Cloud increasing in Adelaide. Remaining dry, 17 degrees. More showers expected in Perth under an unstable cold west to southwesterly airstream and a high of around 17 degrees. More showers in our city again tomorrow, but the showers should start to ease during the second half of the day. Forecast top of around 19 degrees. To the outlook, mostly fine on Wednesday. Might see some fog in our west during Thursday morning. That's the latest weather. More details, 6 o'clock, Anne.
Thanks a lot, Brownie. And that is Sydney's 4 p.m. news for this Monday. Mark Ferguson will bring you 7 News at 6. I'm Ann Sanders. Stay with 7 Now for the Chase Australia, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Hello, Kieran. I have been watching you.
Stop! Stop! You're hitting the curb! I'm known throughout Adelaide as Adelaide's worst driver. You're not going around the corner in fourth! Oh my lord! And you've stalled it. I've been on my L's now for about 3.5 years. Whoa! Why is it doing that? Pull over! Pull over! Ah! Touch it! Stop! Right, now. Yeah. Turn it on. Oh.
I gotta be me. I am Big Brother, and I've chosen you. Make sure you don't break anything in my brand new house.
I want to be the last man standing.
Oh, really? How do you plan to eliminate the others?
I'm the Grim Reaper. They're going to go down